What's up, y'all? It's Tyler Rich, and I am here on the Jim on Base Show.
Hey, it's Ryan from the Jim on Base Show, and I want to give a huge shout out to my friends at Claim to Fame. They have some of the best jackets out there that I love to wear. You can rock them for date night, a casual outing with friends, or even while doing a podcast. They're lightweight, they're durable, and perfect for any setting. My favorites are the dark blue, the olive shade, and if you want to switch things up and go for a lighter color, one of my favorite go-tos is the Pacific Blue. So check them out at claimtofame.com for all their different styles. The next time you step out, you'll be feeling good with Claim to Fame. Welcome back to another episode of the Jim on Base Show. For today's very special guest, we have on a country music star who's also a big sports fan. He has a new album entitled Hello California coming out March 7th. Please welcome the great Tyler Rich. Tyler, thanks for coming on.
Appreciate you, man.
Yeah, excited to have you on, and we have a lot to talk about, but where are you right now? Are you in Tennessee or?
Yeah, I'm in Nashville. I'm at my house. This is the best room in the house. We call this the Black Note. This is where I mostly play video games and music sometimes.
So it's like your little escape.
Yeah, it's my little happy place up here.
Nice. You know, speaking of happy place and all that, you had a recent birthday, right?
Yeah, and it was a lot of fun, but unfortunately, another birthday. Yeah, it's just creeping up on 40, man, as fast as I can, it feels like.
Yeah, was that the 40th or are you 39 now?
Yeah, I'm 39 now.
Okay,
So
nice.
creeping faster. Yeah.
Yeah, well, I saw a picture. It looks like you went out with family, had a good night, right?
We went to Disney World
Mm.
like 12th birthday I was celebrating. I mean, just growing up in California, I went to Disneyland all the time when I was a kid, and so it's super nostalgic for me. And at Disney World, you can drink, and so it's kind of like the perfect. Yeah, so we went for a few days, and I did understand that when I was there, we had a group of about 8 people that joined us, and Disney World for 3 days is a lot easier when you're 38, and then the second you turn 39, it's much harder. I was super tired. It was a rough day when I got home.
Yeah, maybe the knees start hurting. I was there the other day in the SoCal one, and you wake up, the knees are hurting, your back. It's like I didn't even do anything. I just rode rides.
I know that's the problem, right? The best part of it all actually hurts you the worst.
Well, we do got to talk about your new album, Hello California, and it comes out in a few days, basically, March 7th, right?
Yeah, super excited. It's the first half of what is going to be a double album.
Mm,
And it's we've released 5 of the songs over the past couple months, and then it's going to be 5 new ones nobody's heard yet, which
mm,
I've never gotten to do my entire career. It's always been tons of singles leading up to a project that then has like 2 new songs on it or something. And
yeah.
uh, to me, as a fan of music, a consumer of music, and an artist from both sides, I think that's super boring. And so I'm really
Mm.
excited to drop 5 completely brand new ones, everybody at the same time.
Yeah, it makes you wonder then, did you record it in that room you're in right now, or?
I did some of the vocals in here, but for the most part, we use a real studio,
Mm,
and not
okay.
this. This is it's more of a glorified writing room. You can come in
Mm.
here and you can build demos. You could build a record in here for sure. But yeah, no, we did it with a full-fledged studio. Lots of people. They wouldn't fit in here. It's much smaller than it looks.
Well, I got to say, you talk about releasing singles, and some songs have been released, some haven't yet. I was cranking them the other day working out. I think my favorite one that you've released so far is "Gets Me Every Time." It's a good kind of rocking tune too. Good
Yeah.
guitar.
Thanks, man. Yeah, I appreciate that. We dropped that a week before Valentine's Day, and it's a feel-good love song. And we also dropped a song called "What Do I Know" on the same day, and it's a super angsty breakup song. And I know you said you like rock right before we started this interview, and it's got some pretty heavy rock influence in there.
Mm.
And so we dropped them on the same day, a week before Valentine's Day, is like a choose your own Valentine's Day adventure. Some people are happy, some people are sad, and yeah, the response has been freaking awesome.
Yeah, I was doing a workout. I didn't really feel like doing it, and then the songs got me through. It got the pump going. So.
Shit. I think I need to start listening to it then when I work out because I'm slacking.
Well, another one that I really love on there is "Give Up to Get It," and that's like a really emotional song. So, is that like, I mean, is it referencing real stuff that's happened in your life, or were you channeling another story, or?
Yeah, that's a great question because it's so often when you're co-writing with other people, you're channeling
Mm,
their story or something going on in even their friends' lives. Or
mm,
I wrote that on tour a couple years ago. We were up in Michigan on my bus, and we had a Canadian country artist named Stephen Lee Olson, big songwriter, big artist in Canada. And he was out with me on the road for a few days writing, and our friend Blake. And luckily, the three of us know exactly what it's like to always be away from family. And so
Mm.
we just got super uh, vulnerable. And when you can be with other songwriters that where you can actually truly be just an open book and be as real as possible. You know, like Steven had just had his first little boy
Mm.
and was away from him. And so we were just in our fields and talking about all the things in our lives that we miss, chasing this crazy dream. And we just every line in that song is very specific things that I've actually missed in my life growing up.
Mm.
Not growing up, but the past 15 years or so. And just the sacrifices that you make with your friends and family to chase this wild ride.
And I relate. I bring it up every now and then when I have musicians on because when I was 18, I won a contest. Did you ever have MySpace back in the day?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, I won a contest with my favorite musician. I got to go on tour for 2 weeks with Lenny Kravitz.
No
So
way.
yeah, so whenever I like travel around a lot, like I have lately, like I love being on the road and always having somewhere to go. But then I also see the other flip of if I did it all the time, it would probably wear you down. Like you talk about, you miss a lot of things too. It's like a love hate, right?
Yeah, absolutely. 2 weeks out with Lenny Kravitz sound awesome. Um, yeah, I think I mean probably for like the past 8 years for sure. I would say I'm home probably 25% of the year,
Mm,
maybe, give or take.
wow,
And my wife and I are long distance since the day we met 9 years ago.
wow.
She's because of her career, we have an apartment in LA, but our home is here, and so she spends about half the month in LA, and we just chase each other constantly across the country, either to there or to here or somewhere randomly on the road.
What does she do?
She's an actress.
Oh, wow. Okay, cool.
Yeah, and so that keeps her there, and we're both you're really lucky when you find somebody that understands like the chaos of what, even though what her and I do are completely different, they're so similar in that sense where, yeah, we just support each other and accept the distance and kind of feels like we're always dating.
Yeah, that's probably yeah, it's a good thing, right?
Yeah, that's the way we try to look at it for sure.
Well, it's funny that she's an actress because I'm actually staying in LA right now at the Hollywood Roosevelt, and right across the street, all the Oscar stuff's happening. All the streets are shut down, so big
Yeah,
weekend.
it's cool. That's a cool time to be down there for sure.
Yeah. Well, it made me wonder. This is basically your second album, so is there an added pressure to come out with that second album? Because do you believe in that thing where people say how your first album you have your whole life to write it? Is the sophomore album a little bit more challenging, or any pressure with that?
I would say usually yes, that's absolutely a real thing. For this though, I was with my record label for 7 years, and was able to part ways with them at the beginning of 24. We parted on good terms. It was all good, but they were only releasing, it came down to 2.5 songs a year over 7 years. And
Mm,
so it was just
wow.
way too slow. It felt like it was crippling me. And so I was able to get out. And so this whole thing was like they had released 18 songs in 7 years. And so my thing was, I want to give 18 songs in 1 year to the fans for being patient and sticking this out with me and all that stuff. And so there wasn't necessarily a bunch of pressure because I was able to grab originally 18 best songs out of like the 150 I'd written in the past few years. And now without a label and doing this independently, I mean, I have a team and a distribution company and all that stuff, but the best part is I have creative freedom now and I can just fully dive into the studio and make the records sound the way I want them to sound and the songs I want and the changes and the rock elements in there that I want and like all these things that I never was able to do before. And
Mm,
so if I had still been in that same scenario, I think it would be insanely more stressful. But because this has been just such a fun process again of re-falling in love with music and getting to do it this way, it's been the opposite of stressful. It's just been a really fun ride so far. And we've only released five of the what are now going to be about 22 songs total that
wow.
come out. Yeah.
Awesome. Might even answer my next question then, because I was going to say your last album was in 2020. So, what are you most excited about in terms of having new music and performing? It sounds like it's getting the music out, right?
Yeah, it's and like what I mentioned earlier when that first album did come out, it was 11 songs and I think nine of them had already been released over
Mm,
3 years. And then so the album drops with two new songs and then the 3 years leading after that, 21, 22, 23, we did like two songs a year. And so we just kind of feel like we've been playing the same show
Mm,
forever. We'll switch them up, change up the order as much as we can. But when songs been out that long, it's like, we know the seven out of those 18 that are the most popular. And then you're playing the other ones, you're playing new ones people don't know. And it
mm.
doesn't matter if you play the old ones, they're not the most popular. People still aren't really singing along. And so now to get to introduce all these new songs and build a whole new set is it's just super exciting. And we're like
Yeah.
2 weeks out or 3 weeks out, I think, till this tour starts. And so we're just chaos mode of rehearsals. I don't know, you see these like orange lights down here, like
Oh yeah.
building like this whole light show right now and getting like all
Nice.
these things. We had a person cancel last minute because he got a job with Travis
Mm.
Scott, whoever that guy is. Uh, and uh, and so as we're scrambling right now to find a lighting engineer, I'm working on adding it to my LinkedIn profile. Just kind of figuring it out as I go and seeing what I can. And so I figured I'd put them on orange for the Giants while we are doing this.
Yeah, well, I was saying that's added stress before the tour, but from what I can see, it looks good.
It's
Look,
really not good. It's just been one static light for like 48 hours. I'm trying to figure it out. It's the guys that do it are way smarter than I thought. It's an incredible process.
you mentioned the Giants there and the orange light. You got the Giants hat on. For people that are listening, you have the Golden Gate Bridge tat on your arm.
Yeah.
There it is. You grew up in NorCal then, right?
Yeah, I grew up a little north of Sacramento, a little place called Yuba City. Yeah, not much there, but good people.
Have you heard of Tracy? That's where I grew up.
Yeah, yeah, of course. Yeah, absolutely.
Well, then I think you eventually moved to LA, right? So you stuck to your guns. You didn't become a Dodgers fan. So that's always good.
It's actually the only thing I didn't like about LA, other than the traffic. Yeah, I moved to LA for the first time when I was, I think, like 22. Thought I was moving to LA. I was going to go work on a record down there. I was dabbling in music and ended up moving to Huntington Beach, thinking I was moving to LA, which is not even remotely LA. And it didn't suck because I spent, a year just on the beach. Didn't really do much musically. And then chased a girl back to my hometown for a few years. Went back to school, graduated, um, and then I had promised my family, my grandparents and my mom always helped me when I was on the road with my car payment and rent, which were like my only two bills. As long as I
Nice.
promised them I would go back to school if and when I decided to take a break from music or just switch career paths. And so I fulfilled that promise. But when I did that, my promise to myself was that once I graduated, I was not going to accept any jobs or anything, and I was going to give music one more shot. And
Mm,
then that's when I moved back to LA when I was, I think, like 27.
wow.
And then I've almost been in Nashville. This will be my 10th year, which
Okay.
is wild.
That's pretty cool. So you're kind of a late bloomer then in a way, right? Like,
Ultimately, yeah, in the grand scheme of things, luckily in country music, if you're too young, people don't take you seriously. And so I was kind of at that perfect age to start putting music out that resonated enough that got me, some phone calls from Nashville and came and visited this city actually March 10 years ago. Took some meetings and everybody was like, it's kind of like living in LA and to be an actor or you want
mm,
to be in politics, you go to DC.
yeah.
Like if you want to do this, you have to be in Nashville. And so I moved here like 5 weeks later, give or take, and been here ever since.
Do you ever run into Mike Yastrzemski? Because I've had him on a few times. I think he's out in Tennessee somewhere.
No, I've never seen him out here, but he does live out here. There's a few players actually that are out here. Logan has been teasing me with the idea that he's moving out here for a couple years now. I think it's going to eventually happen, but
Yeah, how did you become friends with Logan Webb? Was he a fan? Is that how it kind of worked out, or?
so Brandon Belt and I had been social media friends for a while in like random little like comments or story replies, but we'd never actually talked. And he randomly reached out to me and was like, "Hey, I'm throwing a 40th birthday for my wife, and we have Nelly performing, and like, of course, like all right, Nelly performing. It's gonna be this crazy party, and we always see all the stuff you do with the 49ers. I'm like really tired with a bunch of the guys and the team and
Mm,
stuff. We see all the things you do with the team, and would love to, invite you to this birthday party. You can meet some of the players and just, get to know us too, kind of thing." And as a fan of the team since I was a kid, I was like, "Well, that's really dope." I was like,
yeah.
"Sweet." Like we're actually, I was like, "We're actually doing a private the night before. randomly in Napa. I was like, so the timing actually works out perfect. And so my wife and I went to this party, and like Pilo, E40, like all the the normal Bay Area peeps were there and whatnot.
Yeah.
And I knew Uncle Earl a little bit just from 49er games. And so we had friends there and whatnot. It was fun. And I knew Brandon Crawford and his wife already. And yeah, just I guess like during Nelly, I think, Logan walked up with his wife and he's like, "Hey man, we grew up in Rockland and big fans of your music. Just want to say what's up." And he was just cool, just super laid back and whatnot. And so we exchanged information. And speaking of Disneyland, so a couple weeks later, I was at downtown Disney, a couple beers in, waiting for a friend to get there. And I don't know Logan, right? I've only met him that time. And I was like, you know what? Screw it. I'm just gonna do it. And so I hit him up, basically like asking him out on a date. That was like the nerve, right? I have a song called Trucks Don't Lie. It's about being cheated on, and it says that giant's frame around his license plate says we might have been friends another time or place. And that truck's like parked at her house. And it was a high school story of mine. And so I was like, you want to come just do like a cameo in this music video and just be the dude that's like walking into my girlfriend's house out of this truck with a Giants license plate? And so he's like, hell yeah, man, that sounds awesome. And so he came up and we shot the video, and all the band performance spots on that video is a live show in Sacramento. And so he came out to the show, brought his whole family and stuff. And we've been homies ever since. But uh,
Awesome.
we played at the stadium last summer and convinced him to actually come up and do the song with me. He's not a singer by any means whatsoever. And I was like, dude, it's so easy. Like there's between me singing and my two guitar players doing harmonies, turn your mic down. Nobody's gonna hear you. And he's like, you will turn my mic off. And I was like, really low. And then his mic was off when he came on stage. And I was like, I looked at my tour manager when I got off. I was like, dude, I told you, because it's my spare. I was like, you gotta turn the mic on. He's like, I know you told me, but also Mr. Webb looked me in the eyes and said that mic better be off. And
That's awesome.
everybody, yeah, like, would have been cool to actually hear Logan sing. I didn't think anybody would be able to tell, but yeah, good
Ma-
times.
Yeah, you're really living the dream, you know. Like I feel like doing the podcast, I get to get a little up close and personal with some of my favorite team players, and you're doing it. You're playing the stadiums, like you're making it happen. So it's pretty surreal.
It's definitely one of the coolest perks of the whole job. When you're younger and you love a team, it's different than when all of a sudden now I'm my age, and the guys I watched rooting for my favorite guy or favorite team and whatnot are usually my age or even a little younger now, and so
Yeah, it's weird, right?
it's super weird. And then you connect and you realize you guys we basically all just have the same brain and
Yeah.
party the same.
Well, it makes me wonder when you're touring all the time, you're on the road, is there a certain time or spot where you're able to see Giants games or Niner games? Or is it just if it works out on tour? Or...
It never works out on tour. Yeah, I mean it's yeah, we don't ever have time. I mean, between like load in, sound check, meet and greets, sometimes radio interview stuff, it's our days are actually pretty slammed, and the rare chance anything ever did cross path. Um, my thing with the Niners is I try to do one home game every year and one
Hmm,
away game every year.
nice.
And once the schedule comes out, I'll kind of look at what I've got lined up, and preferably we'll pick like a Monday Night Football because I never play shows on Mondays. And Sundays are hit or miss, but if it's a good enough game, I'll put a block on the calendar and
Nice.
try to make it happen. There's so many Giants games that
Yeah.
it's weekday games are pretty easy.
Well, another Bay Area legend was Aisha Curry in your guys' wedding, or vice versa, something like that.
Yeah, yeah, she's one of my wife's really really good friends, and
Hmm,
so she was one of the bridesmaids. Yeah,
nice. So that's, yeah, I was saying that you're getting in with all the Bay Area legends. This is great.
yeah, yeah. No, it's definitely cool, and Steph's I mean probably the nicest human on the freaking
Hmm,
planet. He's just so real, and then with like the Niners, Kittle lives out here, and so Kittle and I have
hmm.
been friends for probably like 6 years now. And so I've got like a cool little sports fandom of homies on these teams that it's pretty it's cool. It gives you a different dynamic of why you're rooting for the team too.
Yeah, exactly. Well,
Yeah.
now you just got to get the Kittles or the Currys on stage with you. That's the next goal.
I know, absolutely. I think Curry will be a little harder, but I can get Kittle on stage at some point.
Yeah, he seems like he'd be into it.
Yeah, as long as it's wrestling themed,
Yeah.
yeah, he'd be there for sure.
Shotgun a beer on stage, that'll get him.
Absolutely.
Well, country music seems to be more popular than ever, like with athletes. You hear a lot of athletes, say I'm a fan of this person or that person. So, does it help you feel more connected to sports in general, just knowing that guys that you admire their craft, they admire yours?
Yeah, it's such a cool parallel. Country music is, it's the music of the people, right? It's the music of the communities and just real people. And yeah, it's crazy when all of a sudden I'll just see like a random share of my song in a
Mm,
story, and it's an athlete that's not even like one of my teams, and I'm just like, that's really dope, and then we'll go to that
yeah.
town, we'll connect, and they'll come back and hang and whatnot, and I'll see them kind of singing along on the side stage or like down in the front, and it's just yeah, it's surreal at times. It's cool because yeah, I'm just a huge sports head in general, and so anybody that's like a professional athlete that's like digging my music, I'm like, I mess with that guy for sure. Yeah.
Well, one thing I forgot to ask you earlier was me and you are similar in age, so I'm curious. In 2010, where were you? Did you get to go to the parade, or did you go to any games during that time?
I did not get to go to any games or the parade, unfortunately. I did watch them. I was at the time, and it sucks too because I was actually in the Bay Area.
Mm,
At the time, it was before I got my record deal, before anything was taken off, and I was actually doing a residency where I would play like 5 nights in a row up in Roanoke Park, like Santa
mm,
Rosa, Petaluma area,
mm-hmm.
and I would play like 5 nights in a row at this casino, just doing cover songs. And I remember watching a couple of those games in that crazy bar while I was playing. Never got to go to a parade though. I've never actually been to any parade of any team celebration, which could be
Well,
a good or bad thing, I guess.
yeah,
But
you're jinxing it in the right direction, so maybe next year.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, 49ers get that next Super Bowl win.
Mm,
I can't see me not at the parade.
yeah,
Just too much heartbreak in the past few years.
yeah, totally. Well, when I have people on, whether they're musicians or athletes or comedians, since I'm a big music fan, I always like asking people because I feel you can get to know them pretty well based on their answer. Is who are your favorite bands and who was your very first concert that you went to?
All right. My very first concert was at Arco Arena in Sacramento, which no longer exists.
Yeah,
I was about 8 years old and I went and saw George Strait. My first concert I went to with friends was Candlestick Park. I was like 14. Metallica, Korn, System of a Down, Kid Rock.
nice.
Uh, and growing up, I've always been, I mean, I'm just such a huge fan of music. I've never necessarily ever considered myself a fan of any genre specifically. I had eras of my life where I listened to different things. When I was
Mm,
younger, I pretty much only listened to country with my mom. And then I got a little bit older and I would listen to like punk rock and metal with my uncles on my mom's side. My dad, I'd be listening to like Tom Petty and stuff.
mm,
And then my uncle on my dad's side would be, I mean, he's the one that taught me how to play guitar and taught me how to truly actually love music and
mm.
understand it. And with him, it was like John Denver, Creedence Clearwater, Beatles, Michael Jackson, Garth Brooks, the Eagles, anything in that realm. And so I feel very lucky that I was raised in this like
Yeah.
crazy musical experience. And then growing up where I grew up, so close to the Bay Area, like I mean, I still do, just love hip hop.
Mm,
And so my favorite bands, though, I mean, it's really hard to say. If we're going country, when I was growing up, it was my number one was always Garth Brooks. I'm a huge Keith
mm.
Urban fan. Love Brooks and Dunn. As far as like current stuff, I really love Old Dominion, Cody Johnson. I love the rock element that Hardy brings into stuff. When I was in junior high, I was super into stuff like Papa Roach and Korn and Linkin Park. High school favorite bands, Blink-182 and Taking Back Sunday and The Used and like all that kind of stuff. And then it's so weird when I look back at my musical journey because into my early 20s, like I pretty much only listened to stuff like John Mayer
Mm.
and Goo Dolls and like super acoustic songwriter stuff. And that led me to where I'm at now somehow.
Well
which
rounded.
yeah, I think in this new album, finally people are going to hear just it's all there's no necessary like outliers that are going to seem really weird when you're listening. It all definitely molds together. But there's a little bit of something for everybody, and it's got just the truest version of me. And I know that was the longest answer you've probably got of favorite artists,
No, it's
but
good. It's
yeah, but
thorough.
those are mine.
Because sometimes I'll ask people and I'll be waiting for like, all right, I'll probably get a good answer. And they really let you down. They'll be like, oh, I don't really go to concerts or I've only been to one. So that's always shocking to me. I thought music's like kind of inside of us all, you know? So it's weird when people aren't
Universal.
into it. Yeah.
Yeah, I know I mean, I feel the same way when I meet people. They're like, I don't really ever go to concerts. And I'm like, you're
Yeah.
not living.
Yeah, we probably wouldn't be friends then because I'm just, you know, I got to be with people who are into music.
That's what I
Well,
say. I'm like, we would not be friends because how would I force you to go to my shows?
oh, yeah, good point. Well, do you ever rock the cowboy hat? Because I've noticed with country music, they've kind of adopted the baseball hat. That seems to be the thing now. So, or do you rock the Giants hat, or do you have like a plain one that you wear, or how do you do
Yeah.
it?
Um, I I have rocked the cowboy hat at times. If I play like the Opry, if I do shows like in Texas or something, sometimes I'll bust out a cowboy hat. Um,
It's a good move, probably.
yeah, or even just for like part of the show, it gets people excited. But I've always been a baseball cap
Okay.
fan. I'll rock a Giants hat whenever I can. It depends on the markets
Yeah.
that we're playing in. One time in Kansas City, I was on a Dustin Lynch tour, and it was my favorite Giants hat I've ever owned, and I was never able to find it again,
Uh,
like even to purchase. And it was this like camo and gray, perfectly fit. I don't know, it was the perfect fit. And I was kind of like snuck down with a hoodie and the hat in the crowd, and I was kind of like in the back watching.
mm,
And all of a sudden, my hat, and this was like right after we beat Kansas City, like the next year, I think. I can't remember.
so it'd be 2015-ish.
This was 2015. Yes. And so I wasn't thinking about that. I did not wear that hat on stage, but that's when I put off to go like be incognito in my camo hat. And somebody still was butthurt and ripped my hat off my head in the crowd. And I saw the crowd kind of part as like somebody ran away with my hat, and this person was either a dwarf or a child that was put up to a bet because I didn't see a single person. I just knew the crowd parted. My favorite freaking Giants hat.
Wow, it was gone.
I know, so I don't really wear it anymore where I'm not supposed to. Yeah.
Yeah, that happened to me. I was at the Brian Stowe game in 2011, and it was a real ugly crowd. And we didn't obviously know what was going to happen yet. But I remember sitting on the aisle, and then some Dodger fan. I had a brand new 2010 World Series hat on, so it was brand new, felt good, looked good. Someone came up behind me, ripped the hat off, threw it on the ground, and yelled some choice words, and kind of ruined it. So, like you said, you got to be smart, I guess. Now you can't innocently wear your stuff. You got to read the room, I guess.
Yeah. People are crazy, man. I could be so mad and I would never even think to do something like that.
Yeah, maybe because we won three World Series, which I thought would never happen. I'm just
Yeah,
more laid back about it now. I don't get angry. You know, I'm pretty laid back.
totally. The only thing that would make me angry is that happening to me. Like,
Yeah, yeah.
don't touch me. What are you doing? Right?
Well, maybe there's a song in there somewhere one day, or a funny line you can throw into the song.
Don't touch my hat.
Yeah,
Logan Webb's second music video coming soon.
yeah. Well, I do got to ask. You know, Tyler Rich. I know that's not your real last name. So, what's the story behind that? Like, how did that kind of come about?
So just Weinrich, and nobody could ever
Mm,
spell it or pronounce it. And
okay.
so, uh, and coming to the stage, Tyler Winrack, Weinrich. It was any way you could possibly not pronounce a very simple name. And so we just chopped it in half. Tyler Ween did not have a nice, or Tyler Wine, see, I just mispronounced it, did not have as good of a ring as Rick. Yeah.
Well, that makes sense. You got the tour coming up. You're working on the lights. Do you have any other plans today? Like, what else is going on?
I am actually, when we wrap up, I'm going to go look at locations for a music video we're shooting next
Mm,
weekend for basically, I guess, the single that drops when the album comes out. And that song's called Whiskey Go Bad. And it's life's too good to let the whiskey go bad. So we're just gonna do a huge like Coyote Ugly style party at a bar,
mm.
and we're gonna go look at a couple locations and make sure there's a big enough bar top for that.
That sounds like that's a fun project then.
Yeah, it's gonna be sweet. Yeah, I'm excited. It'll be rowdy and fun. The song is very it sounds like you're listening to it in a pub. It's like a huge like big chant sing along, and
Oh,
uh,
cool.
it borderlines like country, like or like Irish punk country kind of. It's like if Dropkick Murphys made a country song. It's very pub friendly, I guess I would say.
Cool. All right, well, that sounds like a fun time you have ahead of you. And the tour kicks off in Petaluma and San Jose. It's right during spring training still, so I don't think any Giants will be there.
No, 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 definitely not.
But you'll probably be rocking the hat.
Yeah, I will. Yeah, 100% at those shows. Yeah, Petaluma's on the 20th, San Jose's on the 21st, and Sacramento, Roseville on the 27th, give or take. I'm trying to think of it off the top of my head.
Yeah, I'm going to put a link in the bio where you can check out the new album, check out your tour dates, and where people can follow you on social media if they're not already. And Tyler, I got to say, it's been great to meet you. And maybe one day when the touring's not as crazy, I'll see you at a Giants game.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having me on, man. I appreciate the chat. This has been fun.